9 seasons, 208 episodes, one yellow umbrella, and a finale so divisive it basically split the internet in half. How I Met Your Mother wasn't just a sitcom. It was a long con. A 9-year puzzle that convinced you it was about one woman while secretly being about something else entirely. But underneath all the slap bets, long plays, and wait for it monologues, there's a whole other story happening behind the camera. Real injuries, stolen props, secret timelines, and a child actress who kept the show's biggest spoiler locked in her brain for 8 years. These are 23 weird facts you didn't know about How I Met Your Mother. Stay until the bonus, because the real story of how the mother was cast is one of the strangest in network television history. Number 23. The show was almost set in a bar, not an apartment. Early development drafts had the central hangout as a bar, not McLaren's pub underneath the apartment. Creators Carter Bays and Craig Thomas eventually split the difference and kept both. McLaren's became the go-to because the writers wanted a Cheers-adjacent feel without directly copying it. Ted's gang ended up with 2 hangout spots, which is more than most of us manage as adults, so good for them. Number 22. The theme song was recorded by the creators themselves. Hey beautiful, that bouncy 15-second earworm wasn't licensed. Bays and Thomas wrote and performed it through their real band, The Solids. Here's the kicker. They'd been bandmates at Wesleyan University, exactly like Ted and Marshall. They didn't just write characters inspired by their friendship, they basically were those characters. The theme song is their inside joke that 10 million viewers accidentally got in on. Number 21. Kobe Smulders was almost passed over for Robin. Robin Scherbatsky was one of the last roles filled before the pilot shot. CBS reportedly pushed for a more conventionally funny actress, and Smulders, primarily known for modeling, was a genuine wildcard hire. The network was skeptical, the producers weren't. The kicker? Smulders is Canadian in real life. The writers didn't know this when they wrote Robin's Canadian heritage as a running joke. They found out after casting her. The show's most consistent gag was a total accident. Number 20. Ted's kids filmed their final reaction scene in 2006. The 2 kids on the couch, Lindsay Fonseca and David Henry, filmed their response to the full story reveal during season 2, years before most of the show even existed. The producers knew the actors would age out of their roles if they waited. The kids were sworn to secrecy and contractually prevented from discussing what they'd filmed. Henry later described it as knowing the ending of a book before the first chapter was published. Number 19. Both female leads were pregnant at the same time, and neither character was. During season 4, Allison Hannigan and Kobe Smulders were simultaneously pregnant in real life while neither Lily nor Robin was pregnant on screen. The production team had to hide 2 baby bumps at once, which explains why the giant objects gag escalated well past 1 or 2 scenes. Giant purses, strategically placed globes, stacked sandwich trays, a basketball that appeared for no narrative reason. The directors weren't being creative, they were in full damage control mode, double teaming 2 baby bumps per episode. Number 18. Barney's magic wasn't written for the character, it was written for the actor. Neil Patrick Harris was already a member of the Magic Castle, one of the most exclusive magic clubs in the world, long before he was ever cast as Barney Stinson. The writers didn't give Barney magic tricks and then watch Harris learn them. They found out Harris was obsessed with close-up sleight of hand and wrote the magic directly into the character to exploit what he could already do. Every card trick, every misdirection on screen, that was Harris's real skill, not a production workaround. He later served as president of the Academy of Magical Arts during the show's run. The character didn't unlock the magician unlocked the character. Number 17. The writers kept a master timeline that looked like a crime scene board. The nonlinear storytelling, jumping from 2005 to 2030 and back, required a massive physical wall of color-coded index cards, strings, and post-it notes tracking every date, callback, and continuity detail across all 9 seasons. Every slaps-giving, every character callback, every birthday had to be cross-checked. One writer described walking in as feeling like breaking into an FBI investigation where the crime is a love story. Number 16. Jason Segel wrote the Dracula puppet musical himself. In Season 2's Slap Bet, Marshall performs a puppet-based musical number about a vampire. That wasn't a writer's room concept. Segel pitched it himself. He'd already been developing ideas for what eventually became The Muppets, 2011, and HIMYM let him road test the format in a smaller sandbox. The puppet bit that feels like a throwaway gag is actually the origin point of a movie that made $150 million at the box office. Number 15. Robin Sparkle's Let's Go to the Mall charted on actual iTunes. Kobe Smulders recorded the track as a full studio single, and when the show released it digitally, it charted. Not top 10, but it appeared on real iTunes charts in Canada, which is poetic justice given the entire premise. Smulders reportedly recorded the vocal in one take. The production team had not prepared for people spending real money on it. They should have seen it coming. Canada is loyal. Number 14. The pineapple mystery was quietly solved, and almost nobody noticed. The Pineapple Incident, Season 1, Episode 10, is one of TV's most beloved unsolved mysteries. Ted wakes up hungover next to a pineapple, and no in-show explanation is ever given. The writers claimed for years they had no answer. Then, buried in the Season 9 deleted scenes, they released the answer. The pineapple came from the front porch of the captain's house, where he kept one as a traditional symbol of hospitality. Drunk Ted apparently took a train, spotted it, and decided it was his now. Vulture broke the story when the clip surfaced. It was later included in the complete series box set, and it still barely made the news. 9 years. The answer dropped, and the internet shrugged. Number 13. Josh Radnor's dog allergy was so bad the writers staged a great dog exodus. Radnor is severely allergic to dogs, and in early Season 1, Ted owns several, all gifts from ex-girlfriends. The production managed it for a while, but the allergy was bad enough that keeping the dogs as recurring cast members wasn't sustainable. So in Season 2, Episode 16, the writers solved the problem the only way TV writers know how. They wrote it into the show. Robin forces Ted to get rid of the dogs because they're all tied to his exes, and the entire pack gets shipped off to live on a farm with his aunt. It wasn't a narrative choice, it was a medical one. The writers didn't work around the allergy, they made it a plot point. If you're into behind-the-scenes breakdowns like this, production secrets, weird facts, the stuff DVD commentary glosses over, subscribe to Cool Whip Lab. We drop these every week, and they only get stranger from here. Hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Number 12. Barney's suits had their own database. Neil Patrick Harris wore over 200 distinct suits across the run of the show. The costume department maintained a literal spreadsheet. Suit color, tie pattern, episode number, scene number, to ensure nothing repeated on screen without intention. By Season 7, the Barney Wardrobe Archive occupied its own section of the storage facility. All real suits, no shortcuts. Barney Stinson's wardrobe had more organizational infrastructure than most small businesses. Number 11. Wait for it was a slow burn the writers had to keep alive. Barney doesn't even say legend, but wait for it, dairy, in the pilot. The catchphrase doesn't land until Season 1, Episode 3. It built gradually. Table reads where it got mixed reactions. Early episodes where it needed room to breathe. A network environment that generally preferred punchlines that landed fast. Bays and Thomas kept feeding it airtime anyway. By the end of the run, it was one of the most quoted sitcom lines of the 2000s. Sometimes a catchphrase isn't born, it's grown. Number 10. Marshall and Lily's wedding scene came from Carter Bays' college notebook. Before HIMYM existed as a show pitch, Bays had written a scene about two college best friends getting married, in an actual notebook from his Wesleyan days. That scene eventually became the Marshall-Lily wedding episode. Bays appears as an extra in the wedding audience, sitting in the back rows. It's the rare case of a showrunner inserting himself into his own work, not out of ego, but because he'd been waiting to see that moment since he was 20. Number 9. The finale's alternate ending was filmed simultaneously. The series finale divided audiences hard. What most people don't know is that the production team filmed two complete endings. The alternate cut, released on the Season 9 DVD, shows Ted and Tracy together, healthy and alive, closing the story there. The creative team always intended to use the ending they aired, but they built an escape hatch. The alternate ending exists. You can watch it. Whether it makes you feel better or worse about the original probably says something about you. Number 8. Kristen Milioti was cast under a fake code name and learned the ending over dinner. The mother's casting was locked down tight. When Milioti auditioned at the end of Season 8, she was brought in under a cover description, a recurring guest character, nothing more. The role was internally codenamed The Girl with the Bass. Only after callbacks did the producers reveal she was auditioning for the woman the entire show was named after. Shortly after being cast, Bays and Thomas took her to dinner and laid out the entire tragic arc. She spent her whole run on the show as the only cast member, besides the kids, who knew exactly how it would end. Every scene of Tracy falling in love, she was already carrying the ending. Number 7. Bob Saget narrated 9 seasons of this show, and almost nobody knew. The voice of future Ted, the narrator telling this entire 9-year story, is Bob Saget, not Josh Radnor. To be clear, Radnor plays young Ted on screen. Saget is the off-screen voice of an older Ted looking back on his life. He did it as a favor and went uncredited for virtually the entire run, the one exception being the series finale, where he finally received acknowledgments. And in that same finale, there's a quiet handoff. As future Ted's story catches up to the present, Radnor's voice takes over the narration, bridging the gap between the man remembering and the man living it. Saget spent 9 years being the emotional spine of the show from a recording booth. Most casual viewers still don't know it was him. Number 6. Ted's tramp stamp was worn in public between shoots. In Season 3, Ted gets a tattoo after a wild night with a woman named Amy. Production had Radnor wear the fake tattoo continuously through the episode's filming schedule, including on days off and between locations. Strangers would approach him in public and ask if it was real, with genuine concern. The prop department considered this a success. Radnor called it a social experiment I did not volunteer for. Number 5. Neil Patrick Harris cracked a rib doing his own stunt and didn't tell anyone. In The 3 Days Rule, Season 4, Barney slides over the hood of a taxi effortlessly, because of course he does. Harris did the stunt himself, no double. The landing was wrong. He cracked a rib. He finished the scene, completed the day, and mentioned it later almost as an afterthought. His reasoning: Barney would have done it. This is either deeply committed character work or a concerning relationship with pain, possibly both. Number 4. Jennifer Love Hewitt turned down Robin Scherbatsky for Ghost Whisperer. Before Smulders landed the role, Robin was offered to Jennifer Love Hewitt. She passed, already committed to Ghost Whisperer, which premiered the same year. Smulders walked in and owned the part so completely it's almost impossible to picture anyone else delivering "Have you met Ted?" with a straight face. Meanwhile, Allison Hannigan was the first and only choice for Lily from day one. The creators were massive Buffy fans and wrote the role with her in mind. One of TV's most beloved ensembles came together partly because a ghost hunting show had better timing. Number 3. Slap bet was a money-saving idea that became a mythology. The slap bet, arguably the most beloved running gag in the series, originated partly out of budgetary necessity. The writers needed a low-cost, contained episode, and built the slap mechanic as something that could generate ongoing comedic returns without expensive production. What started as a cost-saving device became a legend. Marshall had 5 slaps in reserve by the finale. The cheapest idea in the writer's room turned into something fans still quote 15 years later. Number 2. The pilot script was semi-autobiographical. HIMYM wasn't just inspired by Baze and Thomas's friendship. The original draft featured characters so close to their real lives that the network pushed them to fictionalize further. The bones of Ted and Marshall's dynamic, the apartment, the group, the early 20s limbo, all pulled directly from lived experience. They weren't writing a show about young adults in New York. They were writing about themselves and betting it was relatable enough to air. Number 1. HIMYM exists because CBS made a technical gamble and got lucky. When Friends ended on NBC in May 2004, it left a power vacuum, and CBS wanted in. But the green light for HIMYM wasn't purely about filling the ensemble comedy void. CBS was actively trying to pivot away from traditional multi-camera sitcoms toward a hybrid format. The physical setup of a multicam, shot and edited with the rhythm and intimacy of a single cam. HIMYM was the bet. It premiered in September 2005, over a year after Friends ended, and the format paid off. The show didn't get made because it was the next Friends. It got made because CBS was willing to gamble on a new way to shoot a sitcom, and Baze and Thomas happened to have the right script at the right moment. Bonus fact, the kids on the couch knew the ending for 8 years and couldn't tell a soul. Fonseca and Henry filmed the finale couch scene in 2006 during season 2, then signed ND, as that held for nearly a decade. Henry later described it as carrying a secret grenade through high school and college, knowing the punchline to a joke the rest of the world was still waiting for. Every fan interaction, every interview, they couldn't say a word. 2 teenagers kept the biggest plot twist on network television locked down for 8 years. Meanwhile, the internet can't keep a casting announcement quiet for 48 hours. How I Met Your Mother ended the way it had to, not the way anyone wanted. And maybe that's the most honest thing a sitcom has ever done. 9 years of wait for it, and the punchline was grief. So here's the question for the comments. Are you a Ted ends up with Robin defender, or are you still holding a grudge? Drop it below. And if there's a HIMYM fact we missed, call it out. We read everything.